hospital pace to boutique grace. What a CRNA learned leaving the OR for a med spa and why patients are lining up. Let's get to it. Welcome to Glow Up and Get Real. I'm Amy Engel, the Sweet Face Injector, business owner and trainer. Every week, we're injecting the latest on med spa trends, client concerns, and the boldest new treatments out there. Want the latest in safety, advanced techniques, and business strategies? You're in the right place. So let's glow up, get real, and level up your beauty game. Welcome to Glow Up and Get Real. I have Lisa Gore. She is a nurse anesthetist, and she started her own Medi Spa. So stay tight, and let's hear how Lisa did it from OR to Medi Spa. Okay, how are you doing? Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah.
Good. Well, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, let's see. I started nursing probably, gosh, it's been 33, 34 years ago. I have a bachelor's, I have my master's in nurse anesthesia, and my doctorate biomedical sciences, nurse anesthesia. And so I've been working in nurse anesthesia since the year 2007, I believe. So anyway, I'm a mom and just started my Medi Spa. And so I'm a new entrepreneur, you could say.
Yeah. So can you share a little bit about your background as a CRNA and what initially drew you to anesthesia and then to the Medi Spa realm? How did that all transpire?
There's a couple of things. So when I was very, very young, I worked at a hair salon, and I always wanted to have a hair salon, which sounds crazy, but it was something in the beauty world. And then when I had my daughter, she's 34 years old, I had a nurse anesthetist that did my epidural, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. I didn't know that people could do anesthesia like that as a nurse. Also, then I became a single mom and I found out how much money CRNAs made back then. And so I decided that's what I wanted to do. But in the interim, I still have always been interested in like the aesthetics kind of thing. And so when I was 26 or 27, I started looking angry and I got my first Botox from one of the clinics so I was working at the university as a nurse, and the plastic surgery residents were getting free Botox and learning how to administer it. So that's when I got started. And I guess it was just a natural progression because in anesthesia, I can use lidocaine, things like that. And I just always they tease me at work about having my clothes that match or my hat that matches stuff and that my lipstick is always whatever. So I don't know. It just seems like it was something to fall into. And I have had filler several times. I've learned the wrong way to do it from some of the residents at the hospital. And I've learned the right way to do it from people like Amy, who I've actually gone to see you there. And so, it was just natural progression. And then I'm getting closer to retirement age and I want to fall back into this. So that's the big thing, was thinking about retirement and taking my skills in a different direction.
Well, what were some of your biggest fears when you thought about leaving the traditional hospital setting and going into a medical office or a
Well,
spa?
it's not that I don't have well, I mean, I guess it is. When you start out, you're learning about the anatomy of the face a little bit more. You're learning how to administer the drugs, how to mix them up. And I took a Botox and a basic filler course about like 9 years ago now. But when you walk out of it, you realize how much you don't know. So some of the fears were, what am I going to do? If I have a problem, or who, you have to figure out who's going to cover you. There were a lot of things like getting your account set up with these companies, um, and finding the funding. And luckily, I've been able to do it. COVID kind of gave me some time frame to get things together. This is my third year on my lease, and I did most of my painting and decorating myself. So what are my fears? My fears were mainly finding somebody to cover me. And oh my gosh, there were so many fears, I guess I should say. But I just keep persisting because I've always felt like I can do what I put my mind to. So yeah, I had to like squelch my fears and just do what I have to do, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, I think going to the OR and being a nurse anesthetist is scary. I don't know how you do it. It's scary to me. I think just anything new is scary, and you just have to jump
Yeah.
into it like you did. So, walk us through the process of that launching of your spa and the first steps you took to open it.
First steps that I took were I went to a women's small business center downtown here. I'm in Columbia, Missouri. And I met with some of the mentors around town. I talked to Amy. You had been, I think, in business about 4 or 5 years when I first talked to you, and the process. When I was looking for a location, I had learned from the women's business center where my patients might be located. And then I'm a kind of person who meets people through other people. And my landlord for my business space, I was so nervous about approaching him, but once I realized that his location, there's like between 56 and 86,000 cars allegedly that go through the circle that's right here by this building within he said it's less than a week. But I don't know if he's ever really done the studies, but I thought about where to put the location. And he was so brilliant because his wife goes to a plastic surgeon, and the location has got drive up parking, and it's very private on the backside of a building. So I feel that those were some of the steps. You get your business license and find a good location. And then I had to figure out how to finance things.
Started with finding the perfect spot, you'd say.
Well, yeah.
Finding
And I guess I didn't think about this, but when I was thinking about what my name is of my business is Defy Time Aesthetics. And I kind of knew I wanted to do an Art Deco design. And so my brain was constantly thinking, what do I want to do with these things? And so I've taken inspiration from different things. Like my logo comes from a wallpaper that I saw at a Muller Ballroom in St. Louis. And it's very Art Deco. And then I sat around for like 6 to 8 months and wrote out the names. And then I made sure that there was nobody else in the United States that had the same name. And there's a Defy Time in like New Zealand, but not Defy Time Aesthetics. So that was the other thing.
yeah, that's kind of important because you don't wanna
Yeah.
get mixed up with another business,
Oh, for sure.
especially if they're not good.
Right?
Yeah, no.
There's not another sweet spot that I've ever seen either. You're the sweet spot, Medi Spa.
Yeah, I'm starting to see some pop up. And
Oh,
actually, just down the road, not too far, there's a Sweet Spot ice cream store now open.
huh?
Yeah. So, but not a Sweet
They
Spot
better.
Medi Spa, not yet. But I have seen some Sweet Spot Medical Spa and Sweet Spot Med Spa, not Medi Spa yet, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Mm.
We're the only one in Florida though, and you can't duplicate that. So.
Right, right.
Yeah. Well, how did you go about building your knowledge base in injectables?
Well,
Because I mean, you have a great knowledge base in the OR with, calculating medications to make people, have conscious sedation or even sedation. So that's a whole different ballgame than doing aesthetics. How did you build your knowledge and know like the right product, the how much, and you're by yourself. So I mean, you don't have someone to turn to and say, "Hey, what do I need to do here?" You have to know what you know and make sure that you do it right because there's nobody to back you up. Like you said, that was a fear of yours. So tell
mhm.
me about your knowledge.
Well, with anesthesia, yeah, I do a lot of pediatric anesthesia, so I really have to know how the medications work and how to do dosages that are very small. And I actually do a lot of anesthesia for the plastic surgeons around, in the hospital. And we've always compared notes. And actually, I do have a lot of supportive people in the medical profession. But the very first class that I went to really taught me what I needed to know because, well, it's not needed to know, but what I didn't know because there is a lot. I mean, you have to know the anatomy of your lips, you have to know where the blood vessels are in your face. And there's so much more to aesthetics than people think there is. And one thing I think that's kind of funny is I didn't realize I'd have to talk to my patients so much because when in anesthesia, everybody's asleep,
True.
which, that's not a bad thing. It's just people are usually more relaxed and they're sleeping. So I had to learn to be able to talk to people and teach them and get them comfortable with my skills. But as far as the skills for this, I've been to classes and luckily a lot of the companies, have given me classes and things like that. Well, of course, I went to Florida and I did shadowing with Amy. And which really helped a lot because I chose the RHA filler, designer filler, dynamic filler, I should say. And then I chose Daxify and Jeuveau. And those are really great products. They're more of a I'm not bashing any other products, but these work really well for me. And they're a little bit newer, the way that the peptides work. And I feel like I don't know. I just feel like they're really great. The customer service is great. And I do get a lot of, like 2 weeks ago, the Vivace microneedling people reached out and they're like, we've got some new guidelines. We'd like to have you watch this webinar. So, I did that. And I think that just watching for things and being open, and every patient that I do, I learn something new. And, I wouldn't want them to think that they're the guinea pig, but every single person that you do in the anesthesia world, everybody's different. So I think it's the same thing with aesthetics. Everybody's different. I hope to have half of the experience you do someday,
Oh,
Amy.
well, you were my mentor when I was in nursing school, so it's kind of flip-flopped, which is
Like
cool.
30 years. Yeah.
Yeah, 30 years ago.
It's
Wow,
so hard to believe.
I
Yeah, it's
know. So long ago.
great.
What was the
So,
response how has the response been, with the local community and your peers? So, like, other doctors in the hospital knowing that you're probably going to leave and that you're opening a medical spa. Has it been weird? Has it been, really welcoming?
that was something that I was nervous about because about 5 or 6 years ago, our hospital decided to start doing conflict of interest. Like, I don't know, they started asking us about conflict of interest. And so I had to talk to the director of my program and, get allegedly permission to do this, which I was already doing things, but once I had to open a brick and mortar space, then they took it more seriously there. So my anesthesia director is supportive of me. I did have to make an agreement not to do IV therapy because there were CRNAs that had left before. And my supervisor is very supportive, actually. There's two of us that have Medi Spas. One of the other, I sat by her when I got my doctorate. She and I graduated together. Her spa, she's been open longer than me also. And so I can ask her questions and things like that. But she's been supportive. So far, honestly, I think that I wouldn't like, I'm not bragging, but I think my reputation as a CRNA is helping get good reception in the community. And like I said, they make fun of me for the way my makeup was always done at work. And they're like, even with because anesthesia, we wear a mask all the time. They're like, your eyeshadows, you know what I mean? So I just think that this is a smaller community than, of course, like where you are in Florida. And yet I was worried I would get too busy too fast, but I don't think that's a problem. So now I'm going to get my website up and running and see how that goes. But um, I don't know. I think I've had good reception so far.
Well, and you've been at the university for how long? A long time?
Well,
How many years?
5 years of nursing, and then next year it'll be 20 years total as a CRNA.
So,
25 years.
25
That's
years.
crazy.
That's
That's
crazy
so
for
crazy.
being a nurse, because nurses
Right.
don't stay in one place. We like to move. Yeah, we get burnt out easy. So,
Well,
yeah.
I think that I was lucky because anesthesia, I got to go to different locations. We ended up having an ortho hospital and then I did pediatrics and, so I was lucky enough to stay here. And, made smart sense for me financially to
Mhm.
stay here. And, so I've been lucky to do that. The only time I've really been gone is when I went to anesthesia school in Springfield and then came back.
So, what advice would you give to other CRNAs or healthcare professionals considering a similar career pivot?
Well, I think that you have to really want to do this and you have to figure out why are you doing things? What are you going to solve for people? And with anesthesia, I'm helping solve pain for people. With aesthetics, I think you're also helping in the manner of people who just like when I looked in the mirror when I was like 35 and I thought, wow, I don't even look like myself anymore. And that's when I really felt like I needed to do more than just toxin or whatever. It just helped me feel better. And when I feel better, I feel like I'm a better person for others. So I think that having to know your why and then plan it out a little bit, but you can't wait too long. I mean, I just turned 60 and I'm still opening a business, but I'm not dead yet. I mean,
Amen.
amen. Yay. That's kinda yeah, but I just think that planning, planning it out and again, luckily, COVID took some time a chunk out of the time, and, so I had time to think about it. We had less patients in the hospital, and we actually were off for, like, a couple of weeks, forced like, we were actually laid off for a couple of weeks during COVID, and, so I took that time, but
Mhm,
just do it. You can't be scared. Just do it. But make
mhm,
sure the big thing too that I really am working on is the website that I'm getting ready to get up and running, and then making sure that I know how to run all my finances too. So,
mhm. That's important for sure.
oh yeah.
A lot of
Hmm.
spas go out of business because they don't watch their finances or they buy things too fast, equipment too fast. You need to have a clientele to be able to sell the equipment, the procedures to. So you're doing it right for sure.
I hope so. I hope so.
Looking back, is there anything you do differently in your journey?
I think I think I would have started sooner, but
Yeah.
I was so nervous. I was nervous a little bit about work. And I mean, in my personal situation, it was just a specific situation where the two CRNAs that had left and opened like an IV therapy clinic had not gotten permission and they were doing ketamine clinic. So, to make a long story short, I wish that I had looked into it, but I was a little bit nervous about the way they handled their things. And I actually have an anesthesiologist who's covering me, and he had to get permission to cover me from the hospital too. So I've been really fortunate that they were so amenable. I'm not big enough of any kind of a business at this point to compete with the plastic surgeons at the hospital. And I'm not doing plastic surgery. I'm not doing anesthesia procedures. I might give some local anesthetic or do topicals, but I'm not doing that. They've been really supportive, thank God. Thank
Yeah.
God.
Good. Well, what kind of services are you doing now in your spa? What did you start out with?
I started out with Botox, and then I didn't really get filler until a little bit later, but I had a Vivace with microneedling. And then when RHA became more, I guess, well known across the country, I was one of the first people in Missouri, thanks to you, to be able to get that here. And I just love the products. Like, I really love them. I use them for myself. And, so um, I think that was one of the biggest things was figuring out which products to bring in. The Vivace, I was the only person in Missouri who had that for a long time as well.
Mhm.
So thanks to you. And those are the things, I think I've been lucky to find you as a great mentor. And yeah, and to pay attention to things. I mean, I really wish I could have jumped faster, gone out, but I didn't want to get a loan. My dad always said to me, that if you subsidize your income, you have to make sure that when the subsidy goes away, that you can afford to do things. So you
Mm.
still have to take those risks with this business too, because I just got a laser that does 5 things, Aurora spectrum laser. And so, yeah, you're going to be taking risks, but that's what I'm offering soon. And I have an esthetician who has joined me here. She is booth rental, but she does a lot of procedures here, as far as like facials, special facials, and she does waxing, things like that. So I'm a one room though. Yeah, I don't know if you can see. I have one room here, and she shares with me. Eventually, I'm going to have to expand, and I'm so lucky that my location has a spot next door, and the landlord's like, "You want to expand, huh?" So I'm hoping. I mean, yeah, I said you're going to have to work on your parking, sir, but otherwise, maybe we'll see that. But yeah, I'm really lucky where I feel like. I mean, of course, I think you have to go out and make your luck. I didn't just like walk out of the forest and find these people. They're people that I've known for 30 years, and I'm very lucky too. So
So
anyway.
what are you doing to get new clients in? What kind of marketing?
Well, to begin with, I do a little bit of Instagram and Facebook, but a lot of it is word of mouth. And I truly think that word of mouth is really important because people know you. I do have some reviews. I use Vagaro, the app Vagaro for scheduling. And so I recently did get a Google, so people can give me Google reviews. I've got this what is it, the QR code.
Mhm.
But as far as referrals, I'm working on getting this website up and running so I can have much more of a presence and get some, presence on the internet and under Google, some SEO, which is what SEO stand for.
Optimization.
Right.
forgot.
It's how they get you higher in Google so that you
Right.
come to the top of the
Yeah.
screen when people look for spas.
Mhm.
So that kind of thing. So boy, I'm ready to start having more clients now though. And that's something that I sat down with my business plan and I'm looking at what I need to do to be able to replace my income and still maybe work part-time anesthesia every so often. That's what
Mhm. Yeah, kind
my
of
friend,
wean off slowly. That's how I did it. I was
mhm.
working at the hospital and I just kind of weaned off very slowly to where I could just leave and do this full time.
I'd
You'll
really
get
like
there
to
too.
just be able to leave. Yeah, I'd really like to be able to just leave, but
Yeah. Retire.
and yeah. Well, and I right, and I can. I always wanted my goal now is to get the 25 years in, so April, but I think it's going to be a little bit longer before I can fully leave. But then I have a lot of friends who are entrepreneurs, and they say you really just don't put your full heart in until you do leave.
Mhm.
I'm so tempted some days just to jump, but
Yeah.
and then I have a really great anesthesia case. And I'm like, well, that was really cool, but
Yeah.
you know,
I know. I know. There's days I'm like, "Oh, I kind of missed the hospital." And I'm like, "What did I just think there for a second?"
right? Exactly.
Oh my goodness, how could I think that? But yes,
And
it
then
just becomes part of you
And
over
then
the
today,
years.
I'm like, "Man, I really can't wait till I'm out of the hospital." You just have
Right?
days.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, but I really am lucky that I have some really good clients and really good people around. I mean, it's not all hunky dory of everything because I still need more clients, but
Mhm.
I do think I'm in a business syndicate called Arate, the guy that owns First Form and Supplement Superstores out of St. Louis. And I've been in that for about almost 7 years. And so that's given me a lot of customer service things like sending out like handwritten thank you notes and things like that that I try to do for all my new clients. I will be attending, they call it Pajama Jam. And I
Okay.
did this last year. I was the only aesthetics business at Pajama Jam in January. It's at like one of the hotels, and they have women come in. They like do teams of pajamas, and then they have all these booths set up for women. It's really cool. So I plan on doing a better booth this year for that, and just getting my name out there.
I have some ideas for you. I'll tell you after the show.
Yay!
Yeah. There's
I
some
appreciate
things that
that.
work. Yeah. So where do you see your practice in the field of medical aesthetics heading over the next few years?
Wow. That's really something that you do have to think about. I wish I could take you and show you the next door literally the next door location. It's huge behind the whole thing. And so in my head, it's weird because I'm like already thinking what is the next thing. And
Mhm.
I'd like to be able to remodel and have that whole side over there be rooms and maybe rent some of them out like before, like people do where they have the space set up or and they rent out to people for follow like a business model kind of like yours and bring in more practitioners and things like
Mhm.
that. I do have nurses who are interested in it. So,
Mhm.
you know, I've had people contact me, I would like more laser experience. And I'm like, I need laser experience still. I'm new to that too.
Mhm. Right.
But
Exactly. Do you
yeah.
see yourself opening up a second spa?
Not yet, but I do think that I will expand. And this is if you wait whenever you come to Columbia and you see this, it's huge. So I'm just nervous about that because I spent so much time getting this together and painting. I did it all, and
Mhm.
new flooring. I know now that I'm gonna have to hire somebody to help me with it there's no way I can do it all
Mhm.
myself.
Mhm. Yeah.
I was capable of 2 rooms and a bathroom. So
Yeah.
but
Going any further, it's a lot of work. You have to put in cabinets and it's a lot. It's a lot. You can't do
whatever
it by
I can
yourself.
help with, I will help with. But
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
The sweetest aesthetic. I think that you have to always be confident about what you're doing when you're speaking to your clients. Be honest with them though, and don't try to do things that you really aren't comfortable with. And talk to them about what's going on and the steps that are going on. I think that setting up a whole plan. One of my clients, we did her lips in 3 stages because she didn't want anybody to notice. And so we really went over her wishes and what she wanted, and nobody's noticed it yet. But we really completely built lips that she's never had in her life before in
Mm.
like her lower mouth. And so I think, you are catering to your patients, but you also have to be realistic and tell them what is a goal and what is possible too.
Mhm.
And I'm still learning what's possible. So right now, that's something, to keep your mind open to and find good mentors like Miss Amy.
Thank you.
I appreciate
Well,
you so
how
much.
can the
Mhm.
listeners get a hold of you if they have questions about being a business owner, an entrepreneur?
The best place to find me right now is on vagaro.com/defy time aesthetics with AESTHETICS. And then defytimeaesthetics.com will be my website that's coming soon. It should be up within a month. And then those are the biggest places to find me right now.
Social
So,
media?
social media, Instagram, Facebook.
Okay.
And I have a TikTok, but I don't use it very much. That's something I need to do. I need to do much more of all of those things.
It's
So,
a lot
yeah.
to be an owner, an injector, have another job, and do your social
Mhm.
media. It's a lot. I'm
Yep,
like,
That's
it's a lot, but
that's
you'll
another
be,
reason. That's another reason to get done with the hospital, though, too, because then I think I'm going to really love being able to schedule my own days.
yeah, you
You know.
will. Yeah, it'll give you that freedom. Well, I'll put your links in so that the listeners can get a hold of you if they have questions. And thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for being a good friend. Thank you for being my mentor when I was a nursing student.
Thank
And good
you
luck
so
with
much.
your spa. Thank you for joining us on the Glow Up and Get Real podcast. Here's to fearless beauty and real talk. Until next time.